Yeah.
Well, hello everyone, and good morning. I'm Jill Bloom, publisher of Walls and Ceilings, Roofing Contractor, and Building Enclosure. I'm here today with my editors, John Wyatt and Associate Editor Hannah Belloli, and we are so honored to be spending some time with three incredible contractors. We've got Chip Sciullo and Ben Arnotti. They are both with United Contractor Services. Chip is the president, and Ben is the COO. And then we have Mason Carnes, who's the Vice President of Lone Star Builders in New Mexico. And again, gentlemen, we're so honored to have you with us today. And I'd like to go ahead and turn it over to John and Hannah, who are going to ask some great questions and get some insight from these guys and how everything's going on right now in their neck of the woods. John?
Well, thank you so much, Jill, and everyone that's watching this, good morning. And to Ben, Chip, and Mason, thank you so much for joining us today. Really excited to chat with you as well. It's been a while, so it's nice to catch up with you guys. So I'm going to start off this first question for Mason. As we're rearranging of doing this, I know we had a couple setbacks on the good time to do this. Mason, one thing you had mentioned is you were actively trying to bid a job, and it sounded like you're a little stressed, but still excited about it. So, hey, obviously you are bidding jobs, and how did that go? How is business going overall? You want to comment on that first, and then we'll pass that on to Ben and Chip.
Sure. Hello, everybody watching. I'm real excited to share some of our experiences here in our market in New Mexico. My name is Mason Carnes with Lone Star Builders. So yeah, I was bidding a pretty big job. We like to go after some of these larger flagship projects. They're larger, probably in the $3 to $4 million range, and they create a big foundation for our volume, and then we can pick and choose from there to kind of fill up our year. So we are actively bidding. We do what we call selective bidding right now. Currently, we are pretty busy. We're staying steady. All of our expected volumes through the first couple of quarters of this year have been maintained. It's still uncertain how this whole situation is going to play out and how it's going to look through the second half of the year. We're staying optimistic. And, you know, being a framing and drywall contractor, we come onto the project cycle a lot later. So it's hard to gauge how this might affect us. And all the jobs we're on now were contracted in November, December of last year. So, you know, it's just, there's uncertainty right now. So we're looking to bid projects to kind of fill our backlog. But we've been fortunate right now. We're staying busy, staying steady, keeping our core group of employees busy. And so yeah, we're busy, and we're fortunate for that.
That's excellent. And you're statewide, of course, in New Mexico, correct, Mason?
We are. So yes, that's correct.
I guess passing this over to Chip and Ben, you guys, UCS, now you have hubs in several big cities, though. So you have a little different thing going on to where one state might be different. So can you talk to us about the different regions and what you're experiencing just in regards to business volume?
Yeah, sure. Ben, I can take this one for us. Hey, good morning, everybody. Really glad to be part of the panel this morning. Chip Sciullo with United Contractor Services. Yeah, so to answer your question, we've got 4 locations, primarily housed in the Southeast. We have one in Dallas, Texas, that handles the whole state of Texas and out west. And, you know, what we're seeing, the deal flow right now is very strong. That's a positive aspect of kind of where things are at right now. Most of those projects, you know, as Mason alluded, you know, drywall contractors, we're further out in the buying process for clients. So what we're seeing is stuff that's been on the board, already designed. And so that's a good positive thing. What we're starting to see now a little bit more is owners are starting to pivot to making decisions further down the road. And what that's doing is we're seeing kind of, we have a lot of bids coming in, submit the bid, owner sees the price and says, hey, I'm going to wait, you know, six months or 3 months before I make a decision and or we start construction. So what we're seeing is kind of that positive traction that we had beginning of the year starting to slow a little bit. And to Mason's point, our firm, we've got plenty of backlog through the first quarter of next year. But where we kind of see a potential slowdown is that second, third quarter of 2021. And, as anybody in this situation right now can understand, I'd have to go to my kid's bedroom and get the magic 8-ball to tell you, where we're going to be at, at that time. But, staying positive and deals are flowing. The ABI came out, is coming out the end of this month. We're going to keep an watchful eye on that to see what the architects are doing in terms of design. But we have seen some tailoring off from architectural design happening, which is kind of the bellwether for us to see where we're going to be at in 9 to 12 months. So we anticipate somewhat of a slowdown. We are insulated from a state by state basis, so we're able to push resources into hotter markets. What's hot right now, everything's kind of at the same place per se. Orlando's getting hit a little bit harder than some of our other locations because of the tourism and those types of things that have really slowed out at Universal and Disney. So hopefully those guys can get back on track. That market should be able to pick up.
Interesting. So, Ben, I want to ask you specifically. Chip kind of addressed some concerns, but I want to ask you point blank, what are the biggest challenges you guys are being faced with today? Is it COVID, labor? Like you said, the second half of 2021. Ben, why don't you kick it off, and then Mason pick up from there.
Yeah, John, I appreciated everyone. I'm Ben Arnotti with United Contractor Services. I appreciate being invited on and being able to share our insight with the group and with everybody that's watching as well. Great question. So, as far as some of the concerns and some of the issues that we're presented with currently, being a national contractor, it's knowing the local municipalities, understanding what they're going through with the COVID situation, with the mandates that they're putting in. When COVID was first came out, construction was an essential business, and construction maintains that essential business status. But it's how to coordinate doing what we do every day, with industry safe practices, understanding the requirements, in certain locations and areas, and just being able to facilitate that with our manpower, with our material suppliers, with all of our trade partners. It's just making sure that we're coordinating on the front side to work through those issues that are being presented that we're all very uncertain with right now. And that's one of the biggest things that we're combating against out in the field and from a constructability standpoint is the requirements in Salt Lake City are much different than the requirements in Nashville, Tennessee, which are, much different than Orlando, Florida, like Chip had mentioned there. So the understanding the requirements and the needs for those local areas and those projects has been the biggest hurdle for us.
Yeah, and I think for our company and our market, even prior to this COVID situation and pandemic, we were already operating in a market with an extreme shortage of skilled and qualified tradespeople. So that it was already a challenge. And now with the COVID situation, that it's made that challenge even harder. And it's also brought on, other challenges with human resources and regulatory issues and trying to keep up with all the regulatory issues that are changing and being mandated of us are making it really hard. But we try and keep a core group of guys busy. We feel comfortable around, 80 employees, but we'll have those spikes in volume or we'll have to man up. And, it's a challenge when you want to man up to 100 and you can't. It's hard to find people. But, it's really a good thing because that shows you that the market is busy. Our competitors are busy. Everybody has work. So it's been a good thing. And it's just trying to see how this is all going to play out, as Chip said, with the magic 8-ball. Nobody really knows. And that's probably the biggest concern, and that keeps us up at night is you know, how long this might last and what we're going to do in the future. So.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm not sure if any of you are in communications with other contractors throughout the nation, but do you think that these issues that your businesses are facing right now are common amongst all contractors or specific to your region? Because I know you are in the Southwest and then the South with Ben and Chip. So if you could touch a little bit on that. We can start with Ben and Chip and then go to Mason.
Yeah, so I think that by and large, you know, I think everybody's feeling some pressure points similar to ours. You know, everybody's probably got the core base of the issues that we're experiencing. You know, the Northeast obviously is getting hit a lot harder than the Southeast is right now. But, you know, I would anticipate everybody kind of dealing with a little bit of the same issues that we're handling right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's another great question, Hannah. I think everybody is dealing with a sense and a level of uncertainty, right? You know, we don't know if we're going to have a project that has a potential outbreak. What are we going to do when that project, you know, what's going to happen? Does our scope of work, do we stop working? Are they shutting down the entire project? Are they only isolating it to the areas where, you know, the positive case had been in the project? So I think the biggest shared feeling from all of this is a sense of uncertainty. I mean, you know, not knowing what's going to happen on a project or being as predictable as we can be in our business with blueprints and specifications and everything like that, to add a level of uncertainty of this scale where it's shared across from general contractors down to the guy pushing the broom on the site. There's a level of unknowing what's going to be the next step, where we've been a very regimented industry where we have plans and specs and directions and instructions on how we perform our job and how we do our job. We now have this element of surprise, essentially, that's affecting the industry as a whole. I think it's beyond just our industry. It's worldwide. Just the level of uncertainty and what's going to happen next and how we address that.
Yeah, and I'll just piggyback and say, absolutely, these challenges are consistent with all contractors in the Southwest. We're definitely not special. I think Ben hit on a really good point. Everyone's trying to do more with less, and whether it's architects, designers, engineers, and you're seeing that with some of the drawings and the specs, and they're not maybe as complete as they should be because everyone's working on multiple projects all at once, and they just don't have the time to maybe commit to some of the things that they used to. So yeah, for sure, it's been a challenge I think everyone's facing, and we're all trying to deal with it the same way.
Yeah. So all of that being said, and we'll start with you, Mason, for this question, and then bounce over to Ben and Chip. What are some things that you guys are hopeful for your businesses and for the construction industry in general?
So for us, I'm hopeful. We've been riding this construction boom, if you want to call it. The last several years for our company have been some of the best in our history. So even amongst this pandemic, we hope that you know, we stay optimistic and that we can ride this for as long as we can. And then specifically to our company, I'm hopeful we can maintain and try and build some of the relationships that we have with our clients. We're very relationship based with the general contractors and the clients that we work with. We try and align ourselves with some of the GCs that share quality, production, communication, some of those things rather than pricing. So, you know, we like to build those relationships, and we don't go out and flood bid the market when there's hard bid projects going out there. So we're hopeful to try and build some of those relationships because they've kept us going over the years.
You know, I'm curious, guys, just bouncing back to COVID here. How has your workforce dealt with that? Do you have certain precautions that you had to address to the team? I know for Ben and Chip, that's a little harder working through different states. Mason, you certainly have probably a more singular focus, or guidelines that you can follow, just given you're in one state. But any precautions there? How's your workforce handling that? Is labor an issue? Again, are you guys hiring? Have you had to downskill? Let us know where you're at with that. Mason, why don't you kick off real quick?
Okay. So yeah, I mean, we're always looking for skilled trade people. As far as what we've implemented as a company, we required face masks for everybody well before it was mandated. We provided hand sanitizer and disinfectant to all of our employees. We were really fortunate that we were considered an essential business, and it really was the least we can do to protect our employees, protect themselves. So we did that from the get-go. It's really hard. Today it's going to be 95 degrees here in Albuquerque. It's not easy to wear a mask in that sort of heat. But so far it's been taken really well by our employees, and we just have a great group of guys that try and listen and do what is told. And so of course it's been a challenge with all the PPE and everything going on, but so far we're handling it well, and we're staying busy, and we're just fortunate that we can do so.
Bennett and Chip, do you guys want to comment on that?
Yeah, I'd love to, John. So, addressing the COVID and the effects on the business and how we've addressed that company-wide. And I think, back to the uncertainty, what our goal is and the decisions that we've made has been to really focus on education, right? On educating all of our staff, from field staff to office staff to best practices. I mean, as information was coming out there in the beginning, it was coming out at an exorbitant speed. I mean, we were writing new COVID policies, it seemed like every day. Okay, now we got this policy. All right, here's what we're doing, guys. And really, I've got to give it to the team. Everybody really adapted to it. Everybody, saw the importance and saw the focus and the goals of what we were doing organizationally wide. And really got to give the credit to the guys and the staff that we have throughout the United States. I mean, everybody was all hands on deck, from a PPE standpoint to a disinfectant standpoint to a communication and education standpoint. We were issuing weekly updates as far as the information that we were providing and the decisions that we made. And we did not take those decisions very lightly. We actually closed our office down and had everyone working remotely for about 2.5 months, although we were deemed essential and we were allowed to stay open. We wanted to make sure that we were following the best practices that were available at the time and utilizing the information that was being given to us through our, through the government and the other managing organizations. We tried to follow those as best we could, but really the credit goes to, like Mason had said, the guys that are hanging drywall with masks on, or out in the sun and framing exterior conditions. That's a very difficult thing to do sometimes when you're adding an additional layer of PPE. And those guys have really done a great job at following those procedures, understanding those procedures, and also communicating upwards. I mean, they're seeing things in different areas that maybe we may not be available to that information. So it's really gone back to the guys in the field and understanding the global side of what we're looking at and the uncertainty of COVID. But really the guys have done a wonderful job, and the staff has done a wonderful job in understanding and adopting those procedures and forging forward with maintaining what we're trying to do.
I'd have to agree with Ben.
Go ahead, Chip.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to put a finer point on it. I couldn't agree more with Ben's comments there. The guys in the field have done an exceptional job, and they've been very thoughtful, and they've been passing stuff up to us that they're seeing in the field, saying, "Hey, how about this? How about that?" And that type of community that we created or had created through the COVID situation is really kind of built a better foundation of communication from the field up to the office. And the guys out in the field have done fantastic. They've done really, really well. I'm very proud of what they've been able to accomplish during this time.
You know, during these strange days, guys, I mean, with everything so unpredictable, I guess, have any of you experienced or do you anticipate any changes in health or insurance premiums? Could that change for better or for worse? I mean, are the state and feds trying to help? What's been your experience?
Yeah, so that's another great question, and Mason, I can start on this one. What we've worked with, and we've been from the beginning. You know, that was one of the very first phone calls. You know, as we encountered COVID more and more, and as the information became more and more available, we reached out to those industry partners within the insurance industries and our partners that we have internally, you know, to come up with best practices, to understand what the direction is going to be from their side of it, right? A lot of times they dictate how we operate and what we do and what we can and can't do. And I think, you know, through the partnerships, it was a good, healthy discussion. You know, we have, there's been regulations that's been put out as far as how COVID is treated on workers' comp. You know, certain states and municipalities have their own kind of decisions and thought processes on these, but you know, it's been helpful to have those team members that have more familiar with you know, certain regulations. But I believe COVID is now a workers' comp acceptable policy. There's certain pay class codes that if somebody's diagnosed with COVID that we have to file them under. It doesn't go against your EMR from my understanding. So there has been some changes to the way that we have to address COVID tests, COVID positive tests and results. Definitely affects how we look at things and how we manage things. And that was changed through those COVID policies and procedures that we had put out in place.
Yeah, to answer your question, John, I think absolutely. So not only insurance premiums will be changing, and this will have an effect on, but how we report some of this stuff to OSHA, the workman's comp, EMOD, insurance, bonding and banking. I mean, I think it's uncertain to what extent this might have, but absolutely this is going to have an effect. And you gotta keep your finger on the pulse and continue to read the legals, read what's going on nationwide. And you know, it's really helpful to hear what's going on with you guys at United Construction Services. So yeah, I mean, it's going to have an effect. You know, no doubt about it.
Yeah, definitely. So as we're nearing the end here, we'll ask a few more questions. So what has the biggest lesson that you guys have each learned been? And we can start with Mason, go to Ben, go to Chip. And this can be whether it's a personal lesson or something that you've learned while running a business during a time like this.
I think the biggest lesson for us is, I stated earlier, we were riding this wave, and it was a really good wave. The last few years have been really good. Volume's been really high. Everybody's been happy. Competitors are working. Everyone's busy. And all that can change. You know, this happened fast and furious, and this came down just really quick. You know, we didn't have a plan in place for a pandemic or anything like this. So we have to be prepared and have a plan if you do have to temporarily cease operations. And I think that's a lesson that we did learn. And we've been fortunate. We weren't affected as much yet, but it's definitely something that we did and we've implemented. So we have that there. So that's business, what we've done.
Yeah, so Hannah, to address the question, you know, what are some of the things that we've done? So being a national company, we're very geared to working out of the airport, out of the hotel, on the job site. One thing that I can say for our company and organizationally wide is the embrace of technology. I think everyone understands that construction is very antiquated when it comes to technology. and everything, we're generally lagging. And COVID really forced the use of some of these technologies. I'd venture to say that a lot of the construction companies prior to COVID had never used Zoom or used WebEx or used Teams. And now we have these things. I mean, I'm not going to toot my own horn, but I feel like I'm a pretty good, pretty proficient at managing all of these webinars and these WebEx. So, I think one of the things that we've done very well industry-wide is embrace the technology and utilizing those things to our best benefits. So whether it's folks working at home or trying to problem solve remotely on a job site while a project manager or general superintendent may be, working from their office, from their home office, it's definitely been interesting. And that's one thing that I can attest to, that we've done a wonderful job at embracing that and utilizing the available technologies to us. And that's something that we're going to continue to push even after COVID is what are these best practices? What are these softwares of it? How can we utilize these softwares to become more efficient and benefit the overall organization? I think definitely the embrace of technology, even from some of the old superintendents in the drywall side, they're loving it. Hey, I can call you and see your face in 2 seconds, and we can go talk and walk through a problem. So it's definitely been interesting and a great benefit to our organization is the technology that I think everybody has seen come out of COVID.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's the constant improvement that can be made, even in this circumstance that we're all in right now with COVID. Is the lesson that I would take is that there's always different ways that you can do what you have to do every day, and be creative with those ways and try new systems, try new processes, and better the organization at the end of the day. I mean, how can you create a better organization that can meet the needs of your customers and clients, and how can you succeed in a way that helps the overall end game for the project and helps your client? That's one of the lessons that I've learned through this whole process, is that consistent improvement.
Yeah, I guess I want to ask Mason this, and then we'll move back over to you guys again as we kind of are wrapping things up here. But Mason, has your relationship with your dealers, suppliers, even some manufacturers, sales reps, has that been difficult during this time, or have you still been able to maintain that relationship either, through Zoom, or is it social distancing? Can you let me know how that is?
So, our relationship hasn't changed a whole lot. We send our purchase orders over via email. We've done that for a while. As far as going into their showrooms, that's been shut down. So they do have a salesperson that meets you and greets you outside if you do need something right away without a purchase order. As far as deliveries and getting jobs stocked, it's been pretty smooth, and it's gone pretty well. No major hiccups. Like I said, we're a relationship-based company that includes our supplier. We're pretty loyal to a particular supplier here in Albuquerque, so they take care of us and all of our needs. So it's been pretty smooth as far as that goes. It's just not seeing everybody and seeing our employees, and we shut down our office and encourage everybody to do direct deposit. So not seeing all their faces all the time has been a challenge, but as far as suppliers and whatnot, it's gone pretty well.
Ben or Chip, care to comment on that?
Yeah, so I think the relationship with the vendors, the manufacturers, the specialty manufacturers, I think, those relationships are very, very difficult to build sometimes. And through this, working remotely, uncertain schedules, it's difficult for both sides to build that relationship. From a purchasing side, you want to make sure that the trust is there and the understanding is there. And then from the sales side, understanding what the client needs and what that customer needs. I think one of the biggest things, and Mason had mentioned this before, is those relationships that you've developed over time. We kind of have a little saying, it's tough times don't last, tough people do, right? So, that's kind of the mantra that we've taken, and making sure that we're communicating with everybody as much as we can, and being hyper focused on that communication. If we know something, communicating that out to specialty vendors, manufacturers, vendors, standard regular vendors. It's communicating those commitments and those needs as soon as they're available to us, in order to not disrupt any processes or any issues like that. But it has taken a little bit of the interaction out of the situation where salesmen come by to the office, drop off business cards and donuts, and say hello to everybody. Those face-to-face interactions are very minimal now, and they're pre-scheduled, they're pre-screened, and everything like that. So it's definitely changed how we interact, but I do believe that those strong relationships will last.
Excellent. Last question. I'd like the three of you guys to just kind of comment on this, but we've been talking a lot of serious issues, a lot of great information's been passed around, but I didn't want to end this that it's doom and gloom, or that we're all just so despondent. So why don't we just end, and this is your guys' chance to tell people around America how important it is to enjoy friends and family right now. So it's the summer. We got to let our hair down at some point. So take it away. Chip, you're smiling. Why don't you start off?
Yeah, no, it's through this situation, we, like Ben had mentioned, we've been working at home for about 2.5 months, and being a national contractor, I traveled a lot. I mean, every week I was out on the road, meeting with customers, clients, checking on projects, and didn't really have that family time until the weekend. And I've got 2 young kids, and this summer, though my wife would probably disagree with me, is it's been a lot of hectic fun, and every day being able to have breakfast with my kids and every night have dinner with my kids has been it's been a huge blessing. So it's in the situation everybody kind of attaches to the negative, but the positive that I get from this is this summer's it's been quite an experience, just being able to see my kids grow up and spend more time with them. And sometimes it's on Zoom meetings. I told my wife, hey, I've got this, just keep them upstairs. Let's keep them away from me. But it's been a huge blessing. So and thankfully, our family's safe. I hope everybody across America that their family's safe as well. And, from a health perspective. And, it's been a lot of fun just being around the house with the kids and being able to go up and, give the wife a kiss, in between the work day. And it's been a huge blessing.
Yeah, same here, Chip. Family's really important to me, and that's really kept my attitude real positive as I get to go home to them every day and see their faces. I'm also a youth coach, so I've always coached youth sports, coached my kids. Obviously, I haven't done that, so I've had a lot more time to work with them individually. Started way more projects in the backyard than I should have, but it's never looked better. So yeah, I mean, family's just always been important, and that keeps me going through anything that's going on in the outside world at work, and family keeps my positive attitude going.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with both Chip and Mason. It's been a wonderful experience to be home and to see what you don't normally see, right? Normally it's 7 o'clock, you're at the office and you're getting the phone call that you're already late for dinner and you're still sitting at your desk. That phone call, the conversation that you're late for dinner when you're in your office at the house, still a little different, but it's been a wonderful experience being able to see, the kids through the summer and see the excitement and just the sheer creativity that they have. across the board. You know, to touch on what Mason said, I think I've gone through about 3 home renovations already, just because you're sitting there all day and you're like, boy, that really needs to change. Or you have a lot more time to just sit there and look at things that you didn't normally have in the past. But being able to spend it with friends and loved ones and enjoy that time and actually being there and being a part of it, that's something that we miss a lot of the times, traveling and being at work and making sure that we're doing everything we can from a professional standpoint, but being able to do that in a personal setting, and interviewing your 6-year-old daughter for a housekeeping position just because she wants to help daddy work and all that. It's a blast. It's really been fun, and we've embraced it.
Excellent. You guys have just shared some great information, and we couldn't thank you more. At this point, I'd like to pass this off to Jill as she can close us out.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, there's no doubt the commute time is a little different from, the kitchen kitchen counter to the kitchen table, right? And I totally get what you're saying, Chip, because my husband travels every week. And I've had a home office now for a couple of years. So it was pretty funny when we realized, okay, I think I'm going to set you up with a really cool office in the basement because it just doesn't work to have you sitting, right next to me. So yes, it's definitely been fun. I totally understand what you guys are saying with the kids and everything. It makes a big difference. So, but to everybody watching, thank you so much for tuning in. And if you guys need to reach us for anything, please go to wconline.com. Make sure you click on the Contact Us. And while you're there, make sure you subscribe to our free digital edition and our e-newsletters so you can stay up to date as to when we have more of these panel discussions and videos. And you can also reach out to us if you have any projects or issues or concerns. We'd love to get you on camera as well and talk about those. And just want to make sure everyone stays safe and healthy. And we look forward to seeing everybody next time. Again, Chip, Ben, and Mason, have a great day, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.